Hello Bookish friends, welcome to my January wrap-up part 1. In this first wrap-up video of 2024, I will do what I did in the wrap-ups in previous 2 years, which is to put the clips that I've recorded very soon after I finish the works. In this video, I will talk about 6 books that I finished and 1 book that I DNF'd in the first 15 days of January. Today is the 1st of January and I finished a short audiobook that I was listening in the first day of the year, which was called Tracker by Bethany Votaw. Bethany Votaw is an author that I also follow on Bookstagram, and I was very excited when her book became available on my Storytel application. And very soon after I added the work, I wanted to listen to it. In this book, we follow a police officer who comes to a mountain town near the Canada border in the winter, and he wants to find a man who escaped from him by kidnapping his daughter. And the police officer enlists the help of the head of the search and rescue team and also a tracker that he knows from his past. This book was very atmospheric and also great for readers who likes adventures taking place in wilderness. I'm not a big fan of such books. However, the plot kept me interesting and also the complexity of the characters and the plot twists that kept coming really made this book a very enjoyable read for me. I liked the writing style of Bethany. It was very, very clear. So overall, I gave Tracker by Bethany Votaw a 7 out of 10. Today is the 3rd of January and I finished 1 book yesterday evening and DNF'd another today. The book that I finished yesterday evening was an e-arc that I received from NetGalley, which was called Returning to Hattie by Lynn. In this book, Derek, who is very rich but who's also arrogant, rude and extremely selfish, one day sees images of a colored woman who seems to be living in the past, but it just takes it as a daydream and do not think about it much. But when he receives an award that he actually got because of the monetary donations that he gave, he experiences a minor heart attack, and before recovering from the heart attack, he sees these images more clearly and actually remembers some of the people in those images. He tries to find out the truth behind these images, as well as trying to fix his very, very damaged relationship with his wife. I actually wanted to get this book from the site because I thought the cover was extremely pretty. And when I read the synopsis, I was also very, very curious about what would happen. The solution to the mystery is quite satisfactory. And also the redemption story of Derek is very tempting as a person who really loves redemption stories. I have to admit it's a quite bit sappy, but that did not bother me. The writing style was okay. It could have been better, but I never felt like Lynn was a incompetent writer. It is actually pretty good for a debut novel. And I also thought the second chance romance subplot was quite endearing. So I gave Returning to Hattie by Lynn a 7 out of 10. And the book that I DNF'd today was the book club pick for my real life book club, which was Franny and Zooey by J.D. Salinger. I have previously tried to read J.D. Salinger, The Catcher in the Rye, when I was a teenager, and I thought that the characters were whiny and the plot was boring. So I actually did not expect much from this book, and unfortunately I was right. He clearly has a storytelling style which is unique and quite capable in its category. But I really hated that writing style in which people do talk at tables and whine about everything else in the world. Because it was a book club book, I actually gave it a quite fair chance and read it up until 20%, but it unfortunately stayed the same. So I DNF'd Franny and Zooey by J.D. Salinger. Today is the 7th of January, and I finished the book that I was bud reading with Amy at Sobeck, which was called The Undead Next Door. This was the 4th book in Lovett's Text series by Kerrelyn Sparks. In this fantasy slash romance novel, we follow Heather, a single mom who lives in her hometown, Texas, with her 4-year-old girl, and Jean-Luc, who's the coven master of the Western Europe Vampire Society, a French soldier who has been killed in 1500s. Jean-Luc is also a very famous fashion designer, and he comes to Texas in the middle of nowhere, as he calls it, to hide for 25 years and then come back as his son, since he cannot age. And then in a fashion event, he meets Heather, and that night Jean-Luc is attacked by an assassin called Louis, who makes it his mission to kill the woman in Jean-Luc's life. This book was again a very enjoyable read for me. I really did like the chemistry between the couple, and I also liked how the side characters played so much role in the development of the story. Characters that we know from the previous books and other characters that we will probably see in the next books. Some of the supporting characters and their situations were hilarious, and I laughed out loud when I was listening to it on the bus, which was not a good idea at all. And it was great to have a female main character who seems to be aware of something odd with Jean-Luc's life. On the other hand, I have to say some parts in the middle felt a bit long, and some of the phrases were repeated to my annoyance, actually. So I gave The Undead Next Door by Kerrelyn Sparks a 7 out of 10. Today is the 10th of January, and yesterday evening I finished another book which I read for Read Your Shelf Challenge. The prompt was to read a book with a dog on the cover, and I read Seperation Anxiety by Zigman. I really did like the synopsis at the flap, and I will read it because I think it does summarize the book very good. But I have to take out my glasses to see it better. Judy never intended to start wearing the dog. But when she stumbled across her son's Teddy's old baby sling during a half-hearted basement cleaning, something in her snapped. So the dog went into the sling. Judy felt connected to another living being, and she's repeated the process every day since. Life hasn't gone according to Judy's plan. Her career as a children's book author offered a glimpse of success before taking an embarrassing nosedive. Teddy, now a teenager, treats her with some combination of mortification and indifference. Her best friend is dying, and her husband, Gary, has become a pot-addled professional snackologist whom she can't afford to divorce. On top of it all, she has a painfully ironic job writing articles for a self-help website, a poor fit for someone seemingly incapable of helping herself. I actually received this book in a giveaway at Laurie's channel, Books, Ink and Paper. And she very gracefully sent this book abroad to me. And the prompt fitted the book perfectly. I wanted to read it. Laurie, when she did the giveaway, she said that she really enjoyed this book. And I can really understand why. Although I'm nothing like the woman in this book, because I'm single and do not have any children or an ex-husband. But it was not hard to like Judy because she was so realistically portrayed with all her faults and insecurities. Some of the things that she made and some of the events that she encountered were a bit over the top. But maybe because of the reactions of the other characters and Judy, it somehow made it all okay to believe this very, very interesting general fiction book. And the humor in this book is just my style of humor. It is not ha-ha out loud humor, but a more subtle societal humor, and also there were some self-deprecating humor, which I find quite funny when done in the right dosage. So many things clicked right for me in this book. I gave Separation Anxiety by Laura Zigman an 8 out of 10. Today is the 13th of January, and I finished the book that I was reading for quite a long time actually. Wheels by Arthur Hailey. This book was the physical books TBR glass pick for the month of December. My last pick for this challenge. In this book we follow the key players in the automobile industry in the beginning of 1970s. Adam Trenton, who's the executive president in one of the biggest automobile brands, headquarters in Detroit. Brett DeSantro, who's the head designer, and Matt Zelinsky, who is one of the plant managers in the production plant. Read this book like a historical fiction book, since it was written in 1970s and talked about the time period there. Arthur Hailey was an author that I read before and quite enjoyed when I was a teenager, and I wanted to try out his book, another one of his books, which I found in my parents' bookshelves. And I still quite liked his writing style, although it contained a lot of detail because it was researched quite in detail. I did not feel like it dragged on any of the sections. However, maybe because there were three protagonists and I didn't connect with any of them. I'm not a big fan of actually automobiles or racing. I felt like something was missing from this book. That's why maybe it took so long for me to finish it, although I never felt bored while reading it. So in summary, I gave Wheels by Arthur Hailey a 7 out of 10. Today is the 15th of January, and I finished the book that I was listening for the last 4 days, which was called Do You Want to Start a Scandal by Tessa. This book was the last book in Castles Ever After series, and also the last book in Spindle Cove series by this author. Side characters from two of the books belonging to those series were the main couple. In this book, Charlotte Haywood was the youngest daughter of a woman who has been widowed quite young and suffered some monetary hardships, come to be a guest of the friend of the family's house, and there meets Pierce, who has been known to have a very cold personality and very harsh views on everything else. Because Charlotte is quite sure that her mother will suggest quite vulgarly about Charlotte's and Lord Pierce's possible marriage. She follows Pierce when he sneaks to the library to do his secret agent work, and decides to warn him that she has no designs on him. When a couple decides to have an illicit affair in that library, they are forced to hide behind the curtains. After the couple disappears, they are discovered together behind the curtain, and thus a scandal might approach if Lord Pierce does not offer marriage to Charlotte. Historical romance books have always been my comfort reads, and I listened to this very sweet story with a smile on my face all the time. Especially her female characters are quite humorous and very sharp-tongued, which makes them very, very likable. So I really liked Charlotte in this book. But Pierce was also a quite decent hero. But I felt like an unnecessary sexual scene was added to make this book even more spicy. Her books are not overly but quite spicy romance books. I also could not find the humor that I found in the first and the third book in the series, which made me laugh out loud when I was reading those books. But overall, this was a very enjoyable read for me, and I gave Do You Want to Start a Scandal by Tessa a 7 out of 10. And I plan to read the previous books in Spindle Cove series because I really like the characters probably reintroduced in this book. So those were the 6 books that I finished and 1 book that I DNF'd in the first half of January. Please comment down below, have you read any of the books that I mentioned in this video? And if you're a new viewer, first of all, welcome. Please like and subscribe. Hope to see you very soon. Bye. As for Turkish word of the day, I'm going to choose anxiety. Anxiety means endişe in Turkish, and endişe is our Turkish word of the day. Have a good day.